By the time I understood what kind of man I dragged out of that alley, my brother was already marked for death. The city was already preparing to burn. But that night, none of that had happened yet. That night, I was just a broke college girl walking home in the rain, counting pills in my head instead of money in my pocket. My name is Lena Ward. I was 21. My mother was sick. The hospital bills were stacked higher than my textbooks. And every night, after classes, I cleaned office buildings so I wouldn't disappear from school completely. I took the alley because it was faster. I had taken it 100 times. That's why I didn't see him at first. I saw the blood before I saw the man. Dark red spreading through rainwater. Slow, thick, wrong. My foot froze mid-step. Then he lifted his head. Not the eyes of a victim, not the eyes of a drunk, the eyes of a man deciding whether he was going to survive. He tried to stand and he failed. His body hit the wall with a dull sound that echoed too loud in the narrow alley. "Don't scream," he said. His voice was low, steady, almost gentle. I should have run. Instead, my eyes locked on the gun lying beside him. "You're bleeding," I whispered. His mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. "So will you," he said softly. "If you stay." Footsteps echoed at the far end of the alley. Men's voices, searching. My heart slammed against my ribs. He caught my wrist. His grip was weak, but his eyes were not. "If they find me," he said, "they will not ask questions." I looked at the blood again. Then at the alley behind me. Then at the street ahead. And then I thought about my mother waiting for medication I couldn't fully afford yet. That's when I made the worst decision of my life. "Can you walk?" I asked. His jaw tightened. "For a minute," he said. I dragged him. Not gently, not bravely, desperately. We barely made it into my apartment stairwell before the shouting grew louder behind us. I locked my door with shaking hands. The moment my door locked behind us, his strength vanished. He collapsed to the floor like his body had been waiting for permission. So did I. For a few seconds, all we did was breathe. Then the blood started pooling again. "Sit up," I said. He did. Immediately. That should have been my first warning. I tore fabric, pressed towels, used half-forgotten medical training like panic could turn it into skill. He never looked away from my face. Not fear, calculation. "What's your name?" I asked. A pause. "Ethan." It was a lie. I knew it, but I was too tired to challenge it. When the bleeding slowed, my hands started shaking. "You need a hospital," I said. He almost smiled. "If I go," he said, "they follow." The words slid under my skin. "You can stay until morning," I said. "Then you leave." His eyes darkened. "If I stay," he said, "you become a target. Then we're even." He studied me like he hadn't planned for me. He slept on the mattress. I stayed in the chair with a kitchen knife. At 3 a.m., black SUVs passed my building. No sirens, no sound, just shadows moving together. I didn't sleep. By morning, my nerves were shredded. He opened his eyes the moment I turned. "You need to listen," he said. There was a knock, hard, controlled. "Police!" a man called. My heart slammed into my throat. "Are they real?" I whispered. He listened, then shook his head. "No." The doorknob turned. Then the door splintered. Men poured in. I barely gasped before Ethan moved. Fast, silent. One gunshot. A body hit my bathroom tiles. Blood touched my feet. The others ran. Just like that, my life ended. He turned to me. "They will come back," he said. Now they know your face. My knees buckled. What are you? I whispered. He didn't lie this time. I am the reason men disappear. We left before sunrise. By noon, we were in a warehouse by the docks. His phone rang and he answered with only one word. Come. 6 men arrived, armed, silent. They bowed when they saw him. Boss? The word knocked the air from my lungs. You're the Mafia Boss, I whispered. He looked at me like he was memorizing my face. Yes, he replied. For a moment I felt safe, but I didn't know then that the next face I'd see would destroy what little safety I had left. The door opened again, and my brother walked in, gun raised, aimed at Ethan's chest. Lena, Caleb said, voice shaking. Get away from him. The world tilted. Caleb, I whispered, put it down. Ethan didn't reach for his men, didn't move. You always did have terrible timing, he said quietly. Caleb's finger tightened on the trigger. You destroyed our family, Caleb said. You turned our lives into currency. Ethan stepped closer. You're alive, he said. That was the only currency I ever spent. Silence cracked between them. Caleb dropped the gun. It clattered to the floor. Ethan didn't kill him, didn't humiliate him. He simply stepped back. For the first time, I understood what kind of danger I had invited into my life. Rhea pulled me away deeper into the warehouse, shaking hard. Who is he? She whispered. I couldn't answer. That night, we hid. Not together, but close enough to feel each other breathing. When everyone else left, Ethan walked me to the edge of the warehouse. Rain painted the city silver. You should go, he said. Get your mother treatment. Leave this to me. What do you want in return? I asked. He hesitated, then quietly. Your choice, and your truth. The days that followed blurred into flight. Motel rooms, secret routes, men watching from parked cars. We slept in the same room, never the same side of the bed. Until one night when fear stole my balance and I couldn't stand upright anymore. He caught me, held me, not like a possession, like an answer. That's dangerous, I whispered. So is letting you fall, he replied. That was the night he kissed me. Slow, careful, charged with everything neither of us dared to say. For the first time in my life, danger felt like protection. And I didn't run. The first time I realized Ethan was obsessed with me, it wasn't during a kiss. It was when I tried to leave. We were in a motel 3 cities away, the kind with stained carpets and buzzing lights. His men were posted outside, quiet, watching. I packed my bag slowly. Every movement felt loud. I reached the door. Ethan's voice stopped me. Where do you think you're going? Not a question. A statement. I turned. My mother, I said. She's alone. She doesn't even know I'm alive. He stood from the chair by the window. Slowly. Controlled. His eyes never left me. I can move her within the hour, he said. I didn't ask you to. You don't need to, he replied. The words wrapped tight around my ribs. You don't get to decide everything, I said. His jaw flexed. In my world, he said quietly, everything that lives becomes my responsibility. That's not protection, that's ownership. He crossed the room in 3 quiet steps and stopped inches from me. His voice dropped. You walked into my blood and chose not to run. That was the moment you became mine. The air between us burned. I should have been afraid. Instead, my pulse stumbled. "That's not how consent works," I whispered. His hand lifted but did not touch my face. It hovered there, controlled restraint vibrating in every tendon. "That's why I'm letting you choose," he said. "For now." Something about the way he said "for now" made my skin prickle. He moved back, turned, spoke to his phone. Within 30 minutes, my mother was being transferred to a private medical wing under false paperwork and real armed protection. He didn't ask me how I felt about that. He simply made it true. That night, I didn't sleep. Neither did he. We circled each other like heat trapped in glass. The next morning, Caleb arrived. He looked hollowed out, like whatever life he'd been living had finally grown too heavy. "You're still alive," he said to me. "Barely," I replied. His eyes moved to Ethan, dark, loaded. "You lied to me," Caleb said. "I spared you," Ethan answered. "You traded our lives without telling us." "Yes," Caleb's fist tightened. "You don't get to play God." Ethan stepped closer. "I don't play," he said. "I survive." Caleb turned to me. "Do you know what he has turned us into?" I hesitated. Ethan spoke first. "You guys were leveraged," he said, "until you became protected." My stomach twisted. That night, Caleb stayed. Men began appearing around us more often. Weapons, cars switching plates. Ethan's empire was bracing. The city was shifting, and it was shifting because of me. The first real fight between Ethan and me happened over blood. Not mine. Caleb disappeared. 1 minute he was outside smoking. The next he was gone. No sound. No struggle. Just absence. The call came an hour later. "They have him," said a voice from Ethan's secure line. My knees folded. "Who?" I asked. "Victor," Ethan said. The name fell like stone. "Why?" I whispered. His eyes lifted to mine. "Because he knows you matter." The car ride to the docks was silent. I was shaking so badly I couldn't fasten my seatbelt. "They'll kill him," I said. "Yes," Ethan replied calmly. "Unless they want something else first." "And what would that be?" I asked nervously. He looked at me. "You." My breath cut short. "You're not trading me," I said. He didn't answer. That terrified me more than a yes. When we reached the warehouse perimeter, guns were already raised. Victor stood at the center of the dock lights like a king made of smoke. Caleb was on his knees, bleeding, but alive. Victor smiled when he saw me. "Welcome back," he said. "Your shadow chased you here." Ethan stepped forward. "This war ends tonight," he said. Victor laughed. "Because of a mere broke college student?" Then he looked at me. "Come here." I didn't move. Ethan's voice dropped to ice. "Touch her," he said, "and your entire lineage ends with you." Victor tilted his head. "You fell." A gun pressed harder into Caleb's skull. "Your weakness is educational." Ethan's jaw creaked. I stepped forward. "No," Ethan said sharply. I kept walking. "If I go," I said to Victor. "You let him live." Victor grinned. I let him breathe. Ethan reached for me but missed. The moment between them stretched tight enough to snap bone. "Don't," he whispered to me. His restraint cracked. Obsession bled through. "For once," he said, "choose me." My chest shattered. "I am choosing you," I said. By saving him. Victor laughed. Then the warehouse lights died. Gunfire erupted. Men fell. Chaos swallowed everything. Ethan moved like execution given human shape. Precise. Relentless. When the smoke thinned, Victor was gone. So was Caleb. Only blood remained. On me, on the concrete, on Ethan's hands. We didn't find Caleb that night, or the next day, or the next. Something ugly grew between Ethan and me. Not hatred. Fear. I stopped being just a woman in his orbit. I became a weakness his enemies could keep stabbing forever. When the news finally came, it arrived without mercy. They found Caleb under the river bridge, barely alive. The doctors said survival was unlikely. Ethan did not leave the hospital once, not even when rival crews struck his assets across the city. He held my hand while the machines breathed for my brother. "You can't save everyone," I said. He didn't look at me. "I can save who I choose," he answered. That night, I broke. "I don't want to be your weakness," I said. "I don't want to get people killed." "You don't get to decide what you are to me," he said. "That's the problem." My voice cracked. "You don't ask. You take. You move lives like they belong to you." "They do," he said. Silence slammed between us. "Then what about my life?" I whispered. "Do I get to own that?" He stepped close, crowded my air. "You walked into my war and kissed me in it," he said. "There is no clean exit from that." His hand slid to my waist. Not gentle. Unyielding. My breath stuttered. "You don't get to own me," I whispered. He leaned in. "Say that again," he said quietly. I didn't, because I wasn't sure it was true anymore. Caleb flatlined that night. For 4 minutes. They brought him back. Barely. Ethan left the hospital without a word. I found him on the rooftop hours later, surrounded by smoke and ghosts he refused to name. "They're coming," he said. I stepped beside him. "For you," he corrected. "For me. For what we've become." "And what is that?" He finally looked at me. "Unforgivable." The war signaled its arrival with fire, across 3 districts. Simultaneous strikes. Ethan's empire bled. So did Victor's. The city turned into a chessboard of screams, and my brother lay trapped between men who decided fate with bullets. The last night before the final battle, Ethan didn't keep his distance. He pulled me to him. Hard. Desperate. Human. "If I die," he said, "you run." I touched his face. "If you die," I said, "I will burn this world down myself." His breath hitched. He kissed me like a promise and a threat combined. And for the first time, I kissed him back without pretending it was anything but terrifying love. The war didn't arrive like thunder. It arrived like silence breaking. No warning. No countdown. Just the feeling that the city's heartbeat had shifted into something dangerous. Ethan stood at the window at dawn, fully dressed, gun already holstered. "They're moving," he said. I sat up in bed. "Where?" "Everywhere." Sirens wailed in the distance. Then another. Then another. The city screamed awake. Ethan turned to me and crossed the room in 3 heavy steps. He knelt in front of me and took my face in both hands. "If I tell you to run," he said, "you run. You do not look back. You do not wait for me." "And if I don't?" His eyes darkened. "Then I break the world to bring you back." The words settled into me like a vow written in fire. Caleb was still barely alive. The doctors warned us again and again that trauma like his did not forgive easily. Ethan had doubled security at the hospital. It didn't matter. Victor didn't fight fair. The explosion hit the South Docks at noon. The East rail yards went dark minutes later, and the hospital alarms screamed at the exact same time. My heart stopped. "They're at the hospital," I said. Ethan's men were already moving. Weapons, orders, sirens swallowed by engines. Ethan looked at me. "They're using your brother to pull me out." "Then what happens when you go?" I asked. "They learn why they shouldn't." I followed him anyway. Gunfire echoed before we even reached the block. Smoke climbed the sky in dirty pillars. Cars lay sideways. Windows shattered. People ran. Victor stood at the hospital entrance like he had been waiting for Ethan his entire life. Caleb was behind him. On a stretcher, oxygen masked, alive. A gun rested casually against his chest. "You love this part," Victor called. "Where I make you choose." Ethan didn't slow. "You always forget," he said, "that I already chose." Victor pressed the gun into Caleb's ribs. "Then watch him die." Everything inside me broke open. I ran. Bullets cracked past me. Ethan roared my name. I didn't stop. I reached Caleb first. My hands tore at the restraints. "Lena," he whispered. I think I'm done." "No," I said fiercely. "You don't get to leave me now." Victor swung toward me. Ethan reached him at the exact same moment. The gun fired, but not at my brother. Caleb had pulled it just enough. The shot tore through Victor's shoulder instead. Ethan didn't hesitate. He shot Victor twice. Once through the throat, once through the heart. The man fell without a word. Just like that, the war lost its leader. Silence swallowed the street. Ethan turned back to me. His eyes didn't soften. They burned. "You disobeyed me," he said. My hands shook on Caleb's stretcher. "You survived," I answered. The hospital rushed back to life around us. Alarms, doctors, shouting. Caleb was taken into surgery immediately. Hours crawled past. Ethan paced like a caged storm. When the doctor finally came out, blood on his gloves, exhaustion on his face. "He'll live," he said. My knees gave out. Ethan caught me. And that was the moment he lost his composure completely. He pressed his forehead to mine. Shaking. Breathing. Alive. The city burned through the night. Victor was dead. His men scattered. Ethan's crews took everything that remained, not as conquest, as erasure. By morning, the war was over. By nightfall, Ethan was king. Not by declaration, by survival. Caleb woke 2 days later, weak, alive. I tried to shoot him. He whispered hoarsely. "You did," I told him. "And it saved all of us." Ethan stepped forward. Caleb studied him for a long moment, then said quietly, "You still scare the hell out of me." Ethan nodded once. "Good." Then he leaned closer. "But she matters more to me than any empire. Touch her again, and I erase your shadow." Caleb closed his eyes. Message received. The city slowly returned to breathing. Ethan moved me into his penthouse at the edge of the skyline. Glass walls. Private elevators. Silence thick with power. It felt unreal. The first night there, I finally asked the question burning through me. "What happens to me now?" I said. Ethan stood in front of the window. "You stay," he said. "If you want. You leave if you don't. Either way, you are protected. And you." He turned. I rule. The truth of him didn't frighten me anymore. It stirred me. That night, the tension we had been suffocating under for weeks finally broke. Not violently, not hurried. He came to me slowly. Like a man who had already conquered the world and now wanted something far more dangerous. Vulnerability. His hand slid to my waist, firm, claiming. "You're mine," he said quietly. "For as long as I choose," I answered. His eyes darkened with approval. He kissed me deep. Not careful now. Not restrained. All that dominance finally unchained. Clothes fell in unsteady hands. The city glittered beyond the glass as he lifted me into his arms and carried me toward the bed like a declaration. What happened between us didn't belong to the war. It belonged to survival. Heat, emotion, release. Power folded into need. We moved together like people who had already died once and come back greedy for life. When it was over, he held me like something he would burn worlds to keep. For the first time since the alley, I slept without nightmares. Weeks passed. Caleb healed slowly. Ethan's rule solidified. Not louder. Stronger. Cleaner. The city adapted. My mother was placed in permanent care. Safe. Untouchable. One evening, as the sun bled gold across the skyline, Ethan stood beside me on the balcony. "You could still walk away," he said. I turned to him. "I already chosen the alley," I said. "Everything else was just paperwork." He studied my face like it was structure and weakness all at once. "You made me human again," he said. "That's dangerous." "I like dangerous," I replied. His mouth curved. Dark. Satisfied. Later that night, as he folded me against his chest like the only place he trusted peace to exist, I understood the truth. He had not saved me from the world. He had given me the power to survive it. And love had taught his power where to kneel. The city never forgot his name. But I stopped being afraid of it, because I knew the man behind it. And he chose me every single day, every single